capture and captivate young people and women too. Very big fan following there. Is quite awesome, and he demonstrated that most recently in Madhya Pradesh, as did Sachin, who's got a wry smile on his face in Rajasthan. So welcome, both of you. We meet in the immediate aftermath of the Pulwama terror attack and the Balakot aerial surgical strike. Jyotiraditya Scindia, as the senior of the two politicians, I want to start by asking you, sir, how do you believe this impacts the 2019 general elections?
Well, I think for one, in this environment, it's extremely important that the nation stands united, the nation stands as one. And I think our Congress President, Rahul Gandhi, made that abundantly clear in his press conference, which he held a couple of days ago. In the face of terror, in the face of onslaught from adversarial front, I think India must always stand united. That certainly wasn't the situation a couple of years ago, but I think that's where the Congress party stands to make a difference. In terms of its impact on electoral gains, I think for the BJP, I think it's very, very clearly spelt out in terms of what Yedurappa ji hopes to achieve and the BJP hopes to achieve in his statement yesterday, which I think is despicable and must be condemned in its harshest terms. The fact that this is going to lead to 22 out of 28 seats. We don't believe in politicizing terrorism or issues with our adversaries on either front. Having said that, I do believe that India and India's future is dependent on the state of our farmers, on the state of our youth, on the state of our women. These are the core issues that affect us as human beings every day. The BJP might try and portray this as a smokescreen. They always have. But I do believe that the people of India are much wiser than the wisest of our politicians. And when we vote on the basis of what we believe are the core issues in our heart. And I do believe that it will be the curtains coming down on this government because of the many things that they have not performed on and the difference between their walk and their talk, which will be seen in the middle of May of this year.
You've been working over the last few weeks with Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, whose much anticipated formal entry into politics finally happened. How is that coming along? In the midst of what happened in Pulwama and after that, she's been off television screens, but you've been working with her on the ground. You have the tougher challenge. Western UP is where you have a vote share which is even lesser than that in Eastern UP. How is the project to try and revive the Congress in Uttar Pradesh coming along?
Well, I think every challenge has to be seen as an opportunity. And I think that's how the Congress party looks at Uttar Pradesh. We have to start from ground zero. And I think it's important to be able to assess your positions of strength and weakness and to be able to build from there. Our goal is not only Mission 2019, but it's also more importantly Mission 2022. The issues in UP are myriad, and I think it's important for us to ensure two things happen. One, we build the organization from the grassroots up as opposed to a top-down model, which is what we are working on. And two, we make sure that we champion the causes of the people of Uttar Pradesh. And Uttar Pradesh today is suffering on many counts, and I think that's a topic for conversation probably on another day. But whether you look at the issue of employment, the issue of health, the issue of education, the issue of corruption, across the issue of women, farmers, across the board, there are a myriad concerns in UP, and there is no governance left in UP at this point of time. But I think we have to be seen as a viable alternative. I do not believe in India's politics today it's good enough just criticizing your opposition. You have to be seen as a viable opposition and a viable option with your thoughts and your processes in place, and you must get a positive vote from the people. And that's what we did in Madhya Pradesh and in Rajasthan and in Chhattisgarh, and that's the model we'd like to roll out in UP as well.
You know, the one charge against the new generation of the Congress is that this is a lot of Baba log. The one person, and it doesn't apply to this, but Sachin Pilot, the level of hunger that you show, the determination, as you say, Lathia Khai hai over 5 years in Rajasthan and you've been there, that is quite unlike most of the Congress leaders of a similar generation. So in that sense, how does Project Rajasthan, which you executed in the assembly election, roll over to the Lok Sabha election? Are you concerned that the game is different? There you were up against a relatively unpopular chief minister. Here you are up against a far more formidable, far more popular prime minister.
Rahul, I think it's very difficult to segregate individuals from the party they belong to. Vasundhara ji and the Prime Minister both belong to the same BJP. It is the BJP government in Rajasthan, it is also the BJP government at the center. And people are well within their rights, as is the Congress party, to make them answerable, make them accountable on issues that matter. Your earlier question to Jyotiraditya was about how the narrative will change, or will it change post-Pulwama and the action we saw on the border. First of all, we must always remember that India's fight is against terrorism, is against insurgency. It's against attacking on our soil by covert methods. It's not against a nation state. And as far as the attack on terror carries on, whether the Indian Prime Minister is from A party or B party, it does not matter. For our security, on our borders, for the integrity of our republic, there is absolutely no debate, not today, and nor will there be in the future. No, so that's sacrosanct. Coming back to the question you asked about how is it different from the state elections? The 5 years of this government, you have got to look at the white paper that they come out with, on the deliverables, on all the slogans, all the data. The institutions have been systematically dismantled. How can the people of India forget what happened in the last 4.5 years and focus only on what happened in the last 1 week? You know, whether it's the courts, whether it's the Election Commission, whether it's the CBI, the ED, the RBI, every institution that we took 60, 70 years to build and create and have a credibility has been very deliberately and systematically dismantled. And that is a very, very big setback for this nation. People are going to ask questions on issues that matter to them: jobs, employment, food price, inflation. The economic numbers are all there, but there are no jobs. So like Aditya was saying, this election is fought. And you know, Rahul, just a couple of days ago in Jaipur, somebody asked me a question just like this in an audience. They said, Mr. Pilot, will the next elections be fought in the temples of India or on the borders of India? I said the next election will be fought in the farmlands of India, in the alleys and streets of our gullies and mohallas in our country, and people will ask the pertinent, relevant questions to the people who have governed us for 5 years. So people of India are going to vote with exactly what they see in the last 5 years, and sloganeering, posturing, jumlebazi, more promises, more emotive speeches, I don't think are going to sway the majority of voters.
Mr. Scindia, there are two narratives. One is that rural India is in distress, the farmers aren't doing well, that this is a suit boot ki sarkar. The other is that this is a tough government. हमने पाकिस्तान
By the way, I like your three-piece suit.
अच्छा, आपने कपड़े का छेड़ा, ये आप सेम खरीद के लाए हो क्या ये? मैंने पूछा नहीं. You know, I was saying this is the India Today conclave. Let's be very formal, let's be very proper. Same दुकान से खरीदा आपने.
Rahul, don't get worked up. Don't get worked up, okay?
Aditya, listen.
I mean, it was a segue I was giving you. It was a segue I was giving you to ask the question that you've been itching to ask.
I didn't.
So not
only it's actually exactly the same.
Not only do Sachin and I think alike, but we also dress alike. Does that answer your question?
And more importantly, Rahul, mark this. This is what makes a winning combination, right? So please take in mind that this works.
They obviously thought this question was coming up. आया नहीं तो उनको लगा आप निकलवाते. But that was a good answer. Well done on the both of you. But, Mr. Scindia, moving away from the clothes store, there are two narratives. One is that rural India is in distress. The other is that this is a tough government. After 26/11, you were in government, कुछ किया नहीं इन्होंने. हमने जाके ठोकिया, अंदर जाके ठोकिया. First we did land strikes, then we did air strikes. The government says that is the difference between the Congress and the BJP. How will you counter this?
Well, let me ask you this. Is this the first time that a surgical strike has been done by the Indian government? And I'm using those words very carefully, by the Indian government. Because whether it is a BJP sarkar, a Congress sarkar, a Gadbandhan ki sarkar, As far as our integrity of our nation is concerned, we all stand as one. First point. Second point, you're talking about airstrikes. You've forgotten the Prime Minister that actually took on Pakistan and literally fought for the independence of Bangladesh. So let's not get into comparisons here. For us, the territorial integrity of our nation and our fight against terrorism, there is no BJP in my mind and there is no Congress. There is only India and our Tiranga flag. Point number one. Point number two, I wasn't anguished. I was shocked. You have conducted a successful strike, for which we congratulated our Jawans, our Air Force pilots. One of our brave heroes shoots down an F-16. He then gets shot down over Pakistani airspace. He is being held captive by the Pakistanis. And you're holding a polling booth conference of the BJP workers and talking about airstrikes in a polling booth conference? And I responded to the Prime Minister and I said कि जो आप कह रहे हैं कि भाजपा का कार्यकर्ता और बूथ मजबूत, जब देश हमारा मजबूत होगा तो हमारा हर बूथ मजबूत होगा. The outlook that one has to have, cannot the political process be stalled? We had a Congress Working Committee meeting in Ahmedabad. We had a rally scheduled for the 28th of February in Ahmedabad. The Congress President cancelled all political events.
The flip to that can be that the Prime Minister can argue, what do you want me to do? You want me to enter the trenches, hide in the bunkers? Life goes on.
No.
The army is doing its job. I'm doing my job.
No. Your job is to make sure that you ensure the territorial sovereignty of our country, for which we stand with you. If you want to take our input, which we are willing to give, or only you want to receive it, we're more than happy to give it. We stand with you. There is no difference of opinion here. I repeat what I said. There is no BJP and there is no Congress here. There is only India.
But Mr. Pilot, can I just play contrarian and devil's advocate for a moment and say Indira Gandhi in the 1971 war was 4+ decades ago? Where now, people remember Manmohan Singh, they remember UPA 1, they remember UPA 2, they remember the 26/11 attacks that charred our country, they remember the inaction of your government, and they square and contrast this with what we've seen post Uri in the territorial army surgical strikes and the aerial strikes. So reminding people of Indira Gandhi today is not going to work. They remember Manmohan Singh and what you didn't do.
Dekho, Rahul, I just have one point to make. You know, you were asking the question to Aditya, that should we just hang our boots and play according to how Pakistan wants us to play by not doing everything as we normally do? Absolutely not. But I think what would have been more appropriate would have been that the Honorable Prime Minister should have called an all-party meeting straight away. He should have addressed the nation and not BJP workers. He should have gone on television and said, this is what has happened, this is factually correct, let's all be united, because you must lead from the front. And as the Prime Minister of India, today he is our Prime Minister. And we have all officially, personally said that we are together when the call of duty comes. The more appropriate thing would have been to call an all-party meeting, have it on record, let the country see that all of Parliament, all of parties are together under one leadership, which is the Prime Minister of today. But he chose to do a different thing, which is his choice, fair enough. But I still hold the view that he should have probably addressed the nation and not just his BJP workers in the booth. That's, that's more politics than anything else. Having said that, you can't remove history from the minds of people of India. If the 71 war was what it is, it is. And the Kargil war was what it is. You can't say that these things never happened. People will remember brave prime ministers. And don't forget, elections around the corner. This is not the time to talk about, should we compare Manmohan Singh to Indira Gandhi to Narendra Modi. Today we must talk about elections on the issues that we want to fight the elections. What happened on the borders of India is something that any government would do, and we will support any action today and tomorrow. So there is no question of opposition and government when it comes to national security.
One of the strong punches from the government, Mr. Scindia, and I want to see how you counter it, is that the Congress, Rahul Gandhi, the opposition are speaking the same language as Imran Khan. Imran Khan wants that Prime Minister Modi be voted out so the weak government of the Congress comes back. This is a tough government. They mean business. Pakistan is scared. Terrorists are scared. They चाहते हैं कि Rahul Gandhi PM बन जाए. They're saying that, no, because the charge is that and Congress.
So my question to you is, in what way? Please explain to me, in what way are the opposition parties speaking the language that a Pakistan would want? We are saying that we stand by you.
I'll tell you, Amit Shah was sitting exactly where you are.
Let me finish. Okay. We are saying that there is no politics here. We are saying that if you want our input, we are willing to give it. We are with you every step of the way. We are saying that there is no BJP, there is no Congress, there's only India.
No, Amit Shah was sitting exactly where you are, just before you came. And he made the point about Manmohan Singh's statement, saying that Manmohan Singh put out a statement saying both countries should talk. He says, what is there to talk about? They are the attackers, we are the victims, we have to go and punish them, seek our own revenge, our own retribution. What is Manmohan Singh talking about? And his charge was, that is what reflects the weak thinking of the Congress, which is the message they'll try and take to voters. How will you counter it?
I have always believed there has to be a sustainable environment for dialogue to happen. Don't forget that the exact invert position happened in the prior BJP regime when the famous Musharraf talks had happened under Vajpayee ji's regime, right? I have firmly believed from then till today that there has to be an environment that is created that will allow dialogue to happen. Is that environment there today? My answer to that is unequivocally no. Now, if you ask me the philosophical question, can this be resolved without dialogue? The answer to that is also an unequivocal no. But the first has to follow for the second to happen. And today, has Pakistan created that environment? Absolutely not. And no, we should not talk at this point of time.
So both of you are very good speakers, not just at a gathering like this, but also during an election rally. Prime Minister Modi is a fabulous speaker. What do you make of his ability to take his message out, rally people, mobilize the country at a time of elections, and how do you think the Congress can counter it? Do you concede that the Congress, as of now, in terms of trying to win over mind space, is falling short? I'll start with you.
I don't think so. I think we believe that what the core issues that affect our nation, our plurality, our institutions, our spirit of tolerance, our economic issues, whether it's farmers, women, youth, jobs, at the end of the day, that is the core that matters. On the issue of terrorism, as Sachin said, all of us are one. There's no question about that. No. But this election is going to be about grassroots issues. What is it that the BJP had promised 5 years ago? Unemployment, 2 crore jobs a year. On the issue of farmers, आपकी आय दुगना करेंगे और लागत आधा करेंगे. On the issue of women, एक सुरक्षित वातावरण तैनात करेंगे. Look at the record in our country today across all 3 parameters. सहिष्णुता की तो बात ही मत करो आप. The atmosphere of intolerance that has come. It has become a country where असहिष्णुता के प्रति सहिष्णुता का वातावरण तैनात हो गया है. Tolerance towards intolerance. That is not our ethos. That is not our philosophy. And we have to take India back to that path. And that will only happen when the people of India rise and claim that space back.
Do you see that happen in this election? Because
I have belief in India. I have belief in India. And there are mirrors and smoke screens. And people who are great at that. And I'm the first one to tell you that we are not good at that. Because that's not our strength. But we have the ability to execute and maybe market less about it. There are 2 types of leaders that you will have in our country. One who overcommits and underdelivers. The other who undercommits but overdelivers. And I would prefer the latter over the former.
The reality also, Mr. Pilot, is that over the past 5 years, the BJP claims to have built the strongest election management system anywhere in the world, not just in India. Their presence on the ground, you countered them in Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan recently, but net, they are fighting elections with the hunger and intensity we haven't seen in modern day politics in terms of going down to the Rajput, Panna Pramukhs and whatnot in every village. how much of a disadvantage will that be for the Congress? How do you compare your booth strength with that of the BJP? How do you intend to counter it?
So Rahul, you have got to stop giving them bonus points. You know, the Honorable Prime Minister came and gave the same flowery speeches in Madhya Pradesh, in Rajasthan, in Chhattisgarh, in Delhi, in Bihar, in Karnataka. The BJP lost all those states. So please, what goes up must come down. I don't think mere speeches are going to draw the votes this time around. It happened 5 years ago with all the promises that Jyotirita mentioned. But the fact of the matter is that today India is in pain. The farmers are in agrarian distress. Young people don't have jobs. The economic numbers may say something, but on the ground the reality is different. You know, this whole thing about election booth management, and you seem so fascinated with this whole Panna Pramukh, and we've seen that in Rajasthan. In the Ajmer by-elections, there were 6 booths where the BJP got a grand total of 0 votes. Where were the Panna Pramukhs? When the wind changes, na, ये सब उड़ जाता है हवा के साथ. ये मैंने बहुत देखा है. ये Panna Pramukh, ये voter list, ये booth management, all of that goes away. When the people decide that this is not what is right for this country, they will make the right decision. I don't want to prejudge the wisdom of our voters, but have confidence that when it comes to election time, they will not be thinking about what the promise we were told 5 years ago and what jumlas will be given today. They'll say, what is the reality right now? Who are the people who think and feel for us? The fact is, the narrative in the last 5 years, I mean, for one, I had never heard of this word called mob lynching 5 years ago. ये हमारी चर्चा में नया पैदा हुआ है ना, mob lynching होती क्या थी, I never knew. So this cow vigilantism, this love jihad, this ghar wapsi, all this stuff has now become topic of discussions, temple, mandir, कौन कितने मंदिर जा रहा है, कौन नहीं जा रहा है, you guys keep a tracker. Rahul Gandhi 4 मंदिर में गए, Amit Shah ji 6 मंदिर में गए. This was never talked when Manmohan Singh was Prime Minister. 140 million people were lifted from abject poverty in the 10 years of UPA government. You can keep blaming the UPA government like the BJP does for all ills. आज टमाटर 50 रुपए किलो बिक रहा है, मनमोहन सिंह की गलती है. आज डीजल 70 रुपए लीटर है, मनमोहन सिंह की गलती है. आपने क्या किया 5 साल, ये बताइए ना. So people, you may not say this in our discussion on this platform, but people sitting in gully mohallas and their chopals talk about this. So election लड़ा जाएगा on issues that matter to the people. जब पेट पे लात पड़ती है तो ये सब India Today conclave and Falana conclave, people don't care about that. They will vote what they think
Sir,
is
यहाँ
going to
बैठ
be
के तो
deliverable.
मत बोलो ना ऐसे.
Why not? Yeah? Why
You
not?
sit in
Because
some village, in some manji, eating some roti, there you
but
say.
also,
"Usse kuch nahi hota."
Rahul, if you want us to have the patience to listen to what you have to say, so must you, as the anchor, have the magnanimity to listen to what we have to say as well. I think it's fair.
I agree. We take a punch just as we like to deliver a few. We're very happy to take a few as well. Mr. Scindia, you work with Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, you work with Rahul Gandhi. You've seen them both up close and personal. What are the similarities? What are the dissimilarities? Are they in competition? Do they complement each other? How will this equation... here's where I'm coming from. In politics, usually there can be one boss. The moment you bring in a very charismatic second person in the equation, how is that playing out on the ground?
I completely agree. In not only in politics, even in India today, there can only be one boss. And as far as the Congress party is concerned, through an electoral process, we choose our president. That president is Rahul Gandhi. And that's very clear. As far as the differences and the similarities in style, I think it's still very early for me. It's been only 15 days that we've started working together. But I do think that in terms of the similarities, they're both extremely grounded. They believe in ensuring that the Congress party is a platform based on which grassroots workers emerge. And that's something that we as a party need to work on. I think it's as important for us to reflect on our opportunities and weaknesses as it is on our strengths. And to be able to admit to that as well. And I think in the state of UP, that's what we need to do. We need to go back to the drawing board and really build leaders from the grassroots. And that's going to be the imperative that Priyanka ji and I both embark on over the next couple of years.
Is there a clash here between two theories? The first theory is that the challenge for the opposition is to minimize Modi and minimize the BJP in this election. The second longer term challenge for Mr. Gandhi and all of you is to try and maximize and revive the Congress party. The both cannot happen in the same election at the same time. If you try and do well, and current data trends seem to suggest that Priyanka Gandhi Vadra can add 5 to 6% extra vote in the election, who knows what will happen in the end? This is what current data sets are revealing. If that happens, that 5-6% is most likely coming away from people who would have otherwise gone and voted for the opposition. They obviously don't like Modi, otherwise they'll vote for Modi. are you in some senses, by trying to revive your Congress without forming an alliance in Uttar Pradesh, hurting the opposition's chances itself?
So, couple of points on that. On a macro point, as far as on a country basis is concerned, I think it's very important that where the Congress party is strong in bipolar states, like Sachin's state, my state, I think it's very important that the stronger party, which is the Congress, gets its fair share. In other states where regional parties and coalition partners, our coalition partners are stronger than we are, I think it's important that they get their fair share of respect as well. On a macro basis, that's my belief. As far as Uttar Pradesh is concerned, there are two things happening there. One, I think the BSP and the SP have very clearly made their decision. It's a decision that we respect. They have all the right to be able to chart their own course. The Congress party and the BSP and the SP and the RLD have chosen different routes. But the end goal is the same. How do we try and avoid the situation that you are talking about? I don't agree with your notion that a Priyanka Gandhi or a Rahul Gandhi or the Congress party are going to take away only the votes of the opposition. I do believe that there's a great opportunity in UP also to take away the votes of the current BJP dispensation. But for that, we've got to have our architecture in place. And that's what we are working on today.
But you have no time. You've started so late.
That's true. But I think in the time that you have, you've got to scramble. There are two races that are being run in UP for the Congress party. One is a 100-meter sprint, and the other is a marathon for 2022. You've got to have a different strategy for the sprint.
Can you run two races at the same time, sir?
No, not at the same time. If you allow me to finish, Rahul. You've got to have a different strategy for the sprint, which will end sometime in mid-May, and you've got to have a different strategy for the marathon. I'm not even concerning myself with the marathon right now, because that will come post the 15th or 16th or whatever that is of May. Right now, my only strategy is focused on the sprint. And for that, you've got to put that architecture in place. You've got to ensure that you get your workers enthused, the public enthused, and I think the Congress will put up a very commendable performance in this election.
Mr. Pilot, it can be argued that the BJP is showing greater hunger than the Congress after you won in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. Congress ko lagta hai we are back in business. It's all normal now. The BJP gave up seats in Bihar. Sitting MPs will not get tickets because they wanted an alliance with the Janata Dal United. In Maharashtra, they said the nastiest things possible about each other, and yet they were able to form an alliance. The Congress, because it won in these three states, thinks it's back in power already and is not tying up with the same level of aggression and desperation. For example, in Andhra Pradesh, your alliance is faltering.
So here's what I think is amazing. When the BJP wins, he's all praise for BJP. When the BJP loses, even then you praise in the BJP. It's not hunger, it's desperation. The fact that Nitish Kumar's were given 17 seats in Bihar, not for love of Nitish Kumar, it's because they saw these three states slipping out of their hands. So they got desperate. They're desperate to get that Ms. Patel's party back. Rajbhar party chhod ke chale gaye. AGP has left, TDP has left. So they are now desperate, Rahul. It's the other way around. In fact, I think you're looking at...
Is desperation good or bad?
Desperation for what? Because they know
hunger,
on their own
intensity.
They can't win. And by the way, just because we won the three states doesn't mean we are complacent. We are working doubly hard to deliver in these three states, and we are seeing the effects of that on the ground. The Bharatiya Janata Party is, I think, losing the plot, and they know that. That's why they're going back to Shiv Sena, going back to other parties. It shows that they're on a back foot. On the contrary, you think it's not great hunger. I think it's great desperation. And when allies are leaving you, you're more desperate to get back them on the track. That means they'll fight lesser seats, and the numbers are going to shrink dramatically. There's no way to about it.
On a concluding note, just to add to what Sachin said, I think you hit upon a very important point. Rahul used the words desperation and hunger. Desperation and hunger is a good feeling. But the key question is, desperation and hunger for what? If it is desperation and hunger for power, that's not a good thing. But if it is desperation and hunger to serve, that's a good thing. And I think that's where a key distinction comes into place. At the end of the day, relationships that we form, we talk about political relationships. Political relationships, Rahul, are no different from the interpersonal relationships that we form in life. And if we form a relationship with another human being, that relationship first has to be built on two foundations. One of trust and the other of respect. And if you have trust and respect for each other, then it will be a long-lasting relationship. If you don't, it's going to crack very soon. And that's what the BJP has done very successfully with all its allies. And that's why today you see this desperation and this hunger, because now the clock has come full circle to 5 years. And the pursuit now is back to one for being for power.
Well, people will decide whether they like the desperation and the hunger in the manner that we've seen it, but you've thrown as many punches as you've received and you've hit as good as you got hit. Thank you very much, Mr. Jyotiraditya Scindia, Sachin Pilot, for joining us. We delayed you for a meeting that you had to go for. Our apologies for that, but we are very happy that you stayed till the end. And I'm going to get one of these jackets also. It's very nice. Thank you so much.
Quite a sight.
Can we have a very warm round of applause for Sachin Pilot and Jyotiraditya Scindia, please? Thank you very much. Thank you.
Can I please call on stage Mr. Manpreet Singh?